Superstar Dolph Ziggler, Ricochet,
AJ Styles,
Becky Lynch, Kross,
freaking Rollins, and this is BrettO Live on YouTube.
Monday Night Raw, back with a crowd. What is going on, guys? BrettO Live back with another video, and today we have the Week in Review, episode 119. This is where we go over Raw and SmackDown in a set-up style. This is where I talk about the show, tell you guys what happened, tell you what I thought about it, how they can improve, what's wrong. So without further ado, let's jump into a pretty decent Monday Night Raw. Starting over here, we opened up the show with John Cena coming out, basically just spitting words about why he is back. He is back for the Universal Championship and Roman Reigns, and he is back because of the WWE Universe. John Cena said mainly because of Roman Reigns and how he's a total piece of crap. He's been treating people like crap, and he wants the Universal Championship, and that's going to happen at SummerSlam. Cena basically confirmed it in this promo, so I'm super hyped for that match. It's going to be freaking awesome. Even if John Cena loses, I'm still excited for the build-up, and he announced also that he's going to be on this Friday's SmackDown, which is pretty freaking cool. Moving into the opening match, it was Matt Riddle and the Viking Raiders versus John Morrison, AJ Styles, and Omos. This was a six-man tag team match. Pretty fun match. Good way to open up the show right after John Cena's promo. I thought this was a really good one, and it was very smart for them to give the win to the Viking Raiders and Matt Riddle, because of course they came up short yesterday. At the time of filming this video yesterday at Money in the Bank when they lost for the Raw Tag Team Championship, so it's pretty cool. And then right after the match, they announced the Viking Raiders are going to get another Raw Tag Team Championship match at next week's Monday Night Raw against AJ Styles and Omos again. Will they pick up the victory? I doubt it, but still, it's pretty cool that they're getting another opportunity. It was pretty funny with Omos. Omos was up on the apron, and I believe it was Matt Riddle who grabbed a dripstick and then sprayed Omos, but then Omos thought it was The Miz, and then that led to the victory for the Viking Raiders and Riddle. I thought that was a really fun idea. I really enjoyed that. Moving over here, this was kind of weak. This was basically Jinder Mahal, Veer, and Shanky, or the new Singh brothers, coming out, and they were basically just showboating about how they made Drew McIntyre lose in the Money in the Bank contract match, and how it's Jinder's birthday, that he started singing Happy Birthday, and then Drew McIntyre interrupted, hit Jinder Mahal with a steel chair, and then I believe he destroyed Shanky with the steel chair over 20 times. So that's absolutely insane. Again, I'm still not really excited for a Jinder Mahal versus Drew McIntyre match, but I guess it's not too bad. It wasn't the worst part of the show. Drew, he worked over the crowd pretty well. It was pretty fun. I enjoyed it. Moving over here, this was pretty weak. This was Sheamus and Humberto Carrillo again in a one-on-one match, and this has got to end. It's really got to end. It was Humberto Carrillo, Sheamus. The match was decent. In the end, we saw Sheamus hit a bro kick on Humberto Carrillo, retain his United States Championship. But then, before the match, they did show Damian Priest watching the match backstage on a little screen. So I guarantee that Damian Priest is going to be Sheamus' next opponent for that United States Championship. So I'm very excited for that match. And I do have a Damian Priest figure. As you can see, he's making his debut here in the Week in Review setup. Very, very awesome. And I'm really excited again for their match. That's going to be good. But yeah, finally, just no more Humberto Carrillo. Just get him out of the equation, please. He just, I don't know. They just don't want to use him. Just then don't use him. Like, what? Moving over here, it was Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler versus Natalya and Tamina. If Nia Jax and Shayna won, they get a future tag team championship opportunity. But in the end, because of Reginald, Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler were not able to pick up the victory. Natalya and Tamina retained. And then right after that, Shayna's like, Reginald's the reason why we're losing. We used to be dominant. And then Nia's like, you're right. And then she headbutts Reginald, drops him on the mat. I'm like, finally, get rid of that dude. Finally, we're probably never going to see him again. But then the 24/7 goons come out, and then he ends up winning the 24/7 championship. I'm like, oh my god, we're still going to get more of Reginald. Why? But yeah, it was pretty good that Nia and Shayna abandoned him finally. Super happy about that. Moving over here, this was a freaking kick-butt match. It was Jackson Ryker. Yes, I know that's Eric Young, but that's the closest figure I have to Jackson Ryker. Jackson Ryker versus Elias in a one-on-one Symphony of Destruction match. This match was so freaking awesome. They used a bunch of different instruments to their advantage to destroy each other in the match. I thought it was so epic. Into the final spot, it was freaking Jackson Ryker and Elias on the top rope, superplex to the outside through two tables. If you guys did not see this match, I definitely recommend checking it out. Right after that, Eric Young pinned him because it was Falls Count Anywhere, and then he ended up picking up the victory. So hopefully this culminates the rivalry. Hopefully this was the last match between the two, because I think this is a good way to end it, you know? Get Jackson Riker in a fresh new thing, get him away from Elias, even though it was really, I thought it was not bad to, like, just move away. This was the last match, move away from it. Thought it was really solid. I really enjoyed it. Moving over here, it was Jeff Hardy versus Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross making his Raw debut right here on Monday Night Raw. But first, we got to talk about Jeff Hardy coming out with a No More Words theme. I thought that was freaking epic. The rumor came true. No more of the Hardy Boys classic theme. He's got the No More Words theme. And man, it just reminds me of 2008. Literally, oh my gosh, Jeff Hardy. But yeah, I was expecting, okay, Karrion Kross debut on Raw, he's gonna just squash Jeff Hardy, absolutely squash him, but that's not the case. Jeff Hardy went for a Swanton Bomb, missed it, and then after that, somehow, I believe Karrion Kross was trying to do like a top rope move, and then Jeff Hardy turned it into a pin, and then he cheated! He even cheated to pick up the victory. Whatever it takes, I guess, for Jeff Hardy. But yeah, he put his feet up on the rope. I don't think the commentators mentioned it, but yeah, he put his feet up on the rope. I noticed it, and then he pinned Karrion Kross. I'm like, oh my god, there's no way. Even though Jeff picked up the victory here, I'm very excited about that. But in the future, I think Karrion Kross is going to definitely destroy him, because right after he's like, yeah, Jeff, you just made the biggest mistake of your life. And I'm like, yeah, probably. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Moving over here, it was Bobby Lashley's Open Challenge. Not for the WWE Championship, but you got to think that whoever answers would definitely get a future title opportunity. And I was expecting Goldberg. Brock Lesnar, but no, Keith freaking Lee comes out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be awesome. I was like super excited. I don't think the fans like were as excited as me to see Keith Lee. I was like, dude, I'm so hyped to see this match. Keith Lee, Bobby Lashley, one-on-one. This is gonna be so good. It didn't really live up to the hype. The match wasn't really the best. Bobby Lashley basically dominated the entire time. Believe it or not, he did. Keith Lee's a beast. What the crap? But yeah, Bobby Lashley wrecked him, pinned him. He pinned him with a spear. I'm like, what? That's Keith Lee. I was expecting Keith Lee to pick up the victory here. I really was. I really was. I thought the Goldberg idea was going to be scrapped, and they were just going to start a thing with Keith Lee. But no, Bobby Lashley beat him, and right after the match, there's Goldberg. Goldberg popped out, and he wants the WWE Championship more than likely at SummerSlam. But yeah, as far as Keith Lee goes, I'm very disappointed with that. Does that mean they're just going to keep Keith Lee down in the non-title picture? Keep him in a terrible, like, just low spot on Raw? Because if so, that's a bad idea. I don't really like that. But yeah, as far as Goldberg versus Bobby Lashley goes, it should be pretty good. I really hope Lashley doesn't lose to Goldberg. I really hope Lashley's able to pick up the victory when they have their match. But yeah, it was okay. Moving over here, main event of the show, it was Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley one-on-one. Rhea Ripley asked for a rematch, and she got it earlier in the show. And then, like I already said, Rhea Ripley, Charlotte, Raw Women's Championship rematch from Money in the Bank. The match itself was just okay, nowhere near as good as their match in Money in the Bank. Not at all. In the end, we saw Charlotte disqualify herself with the Raw Women's Championship. And then Rhea Ripley kept beating up on Charlotte after she got up. I'm like, whoa. And then Nikki Cross's music hits, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So Nikki Cross runs down with the Money in the Bank contract, cashes in because the bell rang, and right when the bell rang, I'm like, oh my gosh, Nikki Cross is going to be Raw Women's Champion. And she picks up the victory, literally, and then she holds up the title. I'm like, oh my gosh, and then celebrates with the fans. Look at that. Nikki Cross, Raw Women's Champion. I can't believe it, by the way. That's absolutely insane. I thought it was pretty cool. I wish that I wish Nikki Cross would have held it for a little bit more time than she did. It was only one day, and Charlotte was only Raw Women's Champion for 24 hours, which is insane. But yeah, I guess it's cool. But yeah, that was not too bad. It's just so shocking. I could not believe it. Hopefully Big E holds his Money in the Bank contract for a little bit longer than 24 hours. Well, of course, because SmackDown's going to be popping this Friday. It's going to be freaking epic. That's going to be in this video. Cena's going to be there. So without further ado, let's jump into SmackDown. But before we do, I got to rate the show. Gotta rate the freaking show. It was a solid show. I gotta say, it brought out a lot of emotion in me. I'm like, dude, this is good, or oh, I don't really like this, but they could do this. It was just a good show overall. It was good and bad. I don't even know. It was a good show though. It was overall good. I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5 in the end. And I haven't given a Raw Raw a 4 out of 5 in months. So that's a big deal. Raw's going to get a 4 out of 5 for me. Not just because I like all the returns, like with Goldberg, Keith Lee, the Nikki Cross thing. It was just an overall good show. You know what I mean? I really enjoyed it. 4 out of 5 for Raw. Let's jump into SmackDown. Moving into SmackDown, and this show was okay. That is very odd. That is very rare for me to say that. But this show was just okay. 2 locations for this SmackDown, and the second location, we're going to go over it, but that was a mess in my opinion. But without further ado, we're going to jump into SmackDown, same as Raw. Let's do it. Starting over here, we opened the show with John Cena, basically coming out reiterating what he already said on Raw, basically saying that he challenges Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship at SummerSlam. He wants a match with him. He's hungry for a championship, hyping up the crowd a little bit, but honestly, nothing too crazy different to what he already did on Monday Night Raw. It was an awesome promo. Always awesome seeing John Cena. Freaking loved it. But yeah, nothing too crazy different to what he already did on Monday Night Raw. He was expecting to see Roman Reigns. No Roman Reigns until later in the show. I will talk about that. It wasn't too bad, I wouldn't say. Moving over here, like I already said, there was a second location. I guess it was like this concert down in Miami, and I guess WWE wanted to promote SmackDown there, so they set a ring up, they had a couple matches, and they showed Angelo Dawkins versus Chad Gable one-on-one. I'm like, okay, this kind of makes sense. They've been feuding a little bit, but okay. This crowd literally had no reactions to anything. They had no idea what they were watching. I'm like, why didn't we just throw this in the regular crowd where they were, which was Cleveland? I'm like, why did not just throw that in that crowd, you know? Give them the full show, you know what? I'm like, whatever. But yeah, it was Angelo Dawkins, Chad Gable. Angelo Dawkins ended up winning. I just thought it was boring. And then moving over here, same thing in that second location. It was Carmella, Bianca Belair, one-on-one for the SmackDown Women's Championship. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Bianca Belair's not losing that title. They already fought each other at Money in the Bank. This is just a pointless rematch. And yeah, Bianca Belair basically just retained her title with the KOD, and no reaction from the crowd whatsoever because they had no idea what they were watching, and I did not like that at all. Moving over here is Toni Storm's debut, and she debuted against Zelina Vega in a one-on-one match. Unfortunately, it was at the expense of Zelina Vega. Toni Storm ended up winning the match against Zelina Vega, and I'm like, oh man, bringing Zelina Vega back just to make her lose literally every match since she's been back. So that's a little disappointing, but it's pretty cool to see Toni Storm on SmackDown. Interested to see what she's going to end up doing, maybe feuding for the SmackDown Women's Championship, or maybe a singles rivalry with Zelina Vega. We'll have to wait and see. Yeah, it shouldn't be too bad. Moving over here, it was Baron Corbin backstage walking around, and he approached Kevin Owens once again. He's like, Kevin, I need your help. You seem like a good guy. And Kevin's like, you know what, Corbin? You need to start being nicer to people. I'm going to give you some advice here. You need to start being nicer to people. You know what I mean? Here's some money. Get you back on your feet. Corbin's like, oh, this will really help. And then I guess Toni Storm and Shotzi Black, or not Toni Storm, Tegan Knox and Shotzi Black are working on the tank. They shot Corbin right in the Corbin section, and then he dropped, and then Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode stole the money, and then Kevin Owens ran back. I'm like, okay, this is a little like out of place. I don't really know how I feel about this. But yeah, I guess I'm sort of interested to see what Kevin Owens and Corbin are going to do. But yeah, as far as that goes, it was just all right. Moving over here to just another all right thing. Big E was coming out talking about his Money in the Bank contract, and I wish he got a couple more words in, because this is a pretty iconic moment for Big E, winning the Money in the Bank contract, almost guaranteed to be a world champion in the future. Like, that's insane. Like, give him some time, to talk to the universe. I mean, he did, but not too much. Apollo Crews interrupted, and then Robert Roode and Ziggler, and then Cesaro and Shinsuke, and then they all just started fighting, and then it ended with the faces in the ring on top. And I'm like, oh yeah, we're gonna see a six-man tag team match, right? And I'm like, where's the six-man tag team match? There was no six-man tag team match. I'm like, what the crap? So probably next week we're going to see a six-man tag match here. But yeah, this was just okay. I wish they gave more time to Big E. Moving over here, it was Sami Zayn versus Finn Balor in a one-on-one match, and this match was freaking amazing. Probably my favorite match of the night, favorite moment of the night as well, besides John Cena coming out. It's always awesome seeing Cena. This was a great match. There was a pretty cool reversal with a Blue Thunder Bomb with Finn Balor and Sami. I was like, dude, that was sick. But in the end, we saw Finn Balor deliver a coup de grace to Sami Zayn, picking up the victory, and I thought that was really cool. But later in the show, Roman Reigns was coming out, and he was saying, you know what, Cena? I answer your challenge, and it's a no. I'm like, what? So we're not going to freaking see Cena versus Roman? I guarantee we're still going to see that match sometime in the future, but I think they're just trying to drag it to keep Cena on WWE television, that's fine with me. That's fine with me. So who's going to face Roman at SummerSlam? Finn Balor appears. I'm like, no way. The first ever Universal Champion going up against the current Universal Champion at SummerSlam. And then Roman's like, you know what? I accept Finn. I'm like, what? No freaking way. Like, why would you not accept Cena, but you're going to accept Finn Balor? That's freaking insane. So I'm interested to see what they're going to do with that match. And before that happened, of course, it was Jimmy Uso versus Dominic. That match was just okay. The Usos cheated to win. And yeah, then it just jumped right into the Roman promo. I thought that was pretty lame. Moving over here, it was Edge coming out to a hyped up crowd. Literally, every time Edge comes out with that, on this day, literally that crowd just freaking flips out. But you gotta think that Seth Rollins is gonna interrupt this promo, and he did. I'm really happy that they're bringing up the event from 2014 when freaking Seth Rollins was gonna break his neck. John, you stay right there. You stay right there, John. Bring the Authority back. Bring him back. I'll break his neck. Oh, it was so freaking awesome. I remember that moment like it was yesterday. So cool. So I'm really glad that they're bringing that back. It's like the spark for this rivalry. I think it's awesome. And that was like 6 years ago. That's insane. But yeah, and then of course, Edge is like, you remember how I said I wasn't going to hit you? I lied. And then it just ended out with an all-out brawl. And then Seth Rollins was able to escape right before a spear. I love that. I think it's awesome. And I'm super hyped for their match at SummerSlam. But yeah, guys, as far as the entire show goes, it wasn't too bad. I wouldn't say it was the best SmackDown. You guys already heard what I said about it. But yeah, I wouldn't say it was the best SmackDown. I'm probably going to give it I'll probably give it like a 3 out of 5, maybe a 2.5 out of 5, somewhere around that boat, you know. But yeah, let me know what your favorite part of the show was down in the comments down below. And I'll see you guys next time. BrettO Live out.